Tonight, damning new details continue to emerge surrounding Joe Biden's family corruption scandals. Documents, texts, emails, eyewitness accounts are now painting what is a very corrupt and a very ugly picture. And of course, it is well documented the fact that Biden's son, zero experience Hunter, his brother Jim, received millions and millions of dollars from sketchy foreign nationals, cashing in on then Vice President Biden, and that would be Ukrainian oligarchs, Russian oligarchs, Kazakh oligarchs, Chinese nationals, Bank of China, you name it, they were making money, and all to buy influence. And now, thanks to what are troves of new evidence, it is becoming increasingly clear Joe Biden himself played a critical role in the sketchy payouts, offering special access in exchange for sweetheart business deals, millions for his family. And according to a former Biden business partner, Tony Bobulinski, Joe Biden not only knew about the pay-for-play schemes, but was an integral part of the process. And it's important to point out that so far, no one has directly refuted Mr. Bobulinski's claims, not Joe Biden, not Hunter Biden, not Jim Biden. In fact, over at FoxNews.com, breaking just moments ago, this is what happened when Jim Biden was asked if he had any response to all the corruption allegations leveled against him and his family. Let's take a look.
Mr. Biden, hi. Do you care to answer some questions?
No.
Just wondering, why did you involve Joe Biden in your China deal? Why did you and Hunter Biden want Joe Biden to meet with Tony B?
What are you talking about?
Are you Mr. Jim Biden? I wanted to ask you about the China deal.
Would you please stop bothering me?
You don't want to comment, sir?
I don't want to comment about anything to you.
The money, the wire transfers, it's all chronicled now. A serious scandal, national security, diplomatic implications on a massive scale. You wouldn't know it, though, if you watch fake news CNN or MSDNC, or you got your news from anyone in the media mob. They didn't cover Tucker's hour-long interview with Mr. Bobulinski. They're not investigating his claims. They're not verifying the evidence. They are completely and totally ignoring all of it, which is in and of itself a scandal. By the way, as they ignored the Johnson and the Grassley report, you know, about the oligarchs, about the wire transfers, Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, China. It's like an outright censorship of all of this by big tech companies, Twitter, Facebook, the media mob. And tonight it is more obvious than ever that very powerful forces, the media mob, 99%. Big tech companies, almost all of them. The Democratic Socialist Party, the establishment never-Trumpers, weak establishment Republicans, and the deep state now are all aligned against this president and his reelection. Now, the only thing that can stop that from happening is you, the American people. And with at least 12 battleground states now in play, President Trump is taking nothing and nobody for granted. The president is traveling the country at a rapid pace. Earlier today, he had 2 massive rallies in Arizona. Tomorrow, he will be in Florida. He will be in North Carolina. And in 6 days, let me tell you one thing that nobody is telling you. Anybody that is out there making predictions, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Nobody has a crystal ball. And by the way, don't believe anyone that is telling you they know how this election will turn out, or Donald Trump only has a 5% chance. You know what? That is an effort to deflate conservative and Republican votes. Your vote, if you believe this, is critical, and everybody takes it seriously. Yes, you can shock the world again, and a media mob will have to utter the words, choke on them. We can now project that Donald J. Trump has been reelected the 45th president of the United States. That can happen. That is your power. You get to decide. You are the ultimate jury. And by the way, You are the only thing that is standing in the way of the single most radical, extreme socialist agenda and what would be an administration in American history. Joe Biden may be at the top of the Democratic ticket, but let's be honest here. He's not exactly steering the ship. He is weak. He is frail. He is cognitively struggling. He can barely get his words together. He seems totally, at times, completely out of it, like a half a corpse that's being manipulated by the radical socialists that are in charge. And there's geriatric Joe along for the ride. In fact, today was a big day for Joe Biden. This morning, he was driven to a local polling site near his home in Wilmington, Delaware, where he voted early, delivered a couple of remarks, and spent the rest of the afternoon hiding again in his basement bunker, resting comfortably. Here we are, 6 days until an all-important presidential election. Joe Biden took the day off again. He's not holding rallies. He's not visiting battleground states. You know, Barack Obama's doing more campaigning for Joe Biden than Joe Biden's doing for Joe Biden. Instead, you got Kamala Harris. She was out on the campaign trail, rarely for her, too. And today, while he was taking his nap time in Delaware, she was in the state of Arizona hosting a few events with tiny little baby crowds. Very few people. At this point, even Joe Biden himself is stating the obvious. Take a look.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm Jill Biden's husband, and I am Kamala's running mate. You all think I'm kidding, don't you?
Now, when they tell you who they are, believe them. Senator Harris is clearly in charge. Her record is to the left of Bolshevik Bernie Sanders. And according to the nonpartisan study, she was ranked the most liberal senator in 2019. That's right, to the left of Bernie, a devout socialist. She co-sponsored the Green New Deal. She also called for a ban on fracking and fossil fuels. She wants to put a ban on plastic straws. She would like to limit the amount of red meat that Americans are allowed to consume. And she is in favor of Medicare for all. She co-sponsored that, including taxpayer-funded health insurance for illegal immigrants. And by the way, she is against private health insurance plans. She supports, of course, packing the court. She promised to confiscate guns via executive order, bypassing, usurping the power of the legislative branch of government. These are radical beliefs out of the mainstream, but that is your new Democratic Socialist Party. And pay attention, because if some of the polls are right, most people don't think Joe Biden can even finish a first term. Watch Kamala Harris more carefully. For example, Joe Biden's own website praises the Green New Deal as the crucial framework for battling climate change. Yesterday, Biden's own climate czar, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, had this to say about the increasingly radical Democratic Party. Take a look.
Despite millions, if not billions of dollars of fossil fuel money and lobbying and media campaigns to smear the Green New Deal, a majority of people still believe in this country that a Green New Deal is the right way forward.
Now, the main goal of the Green New Deal is to put the oil and the gas industry, energy industry, out of business. That means millions and millions of high-paying career jobs in the energy sector will be eliminated. Our economy will be devastated, especially in places like Pennsylvania and Ohio and New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas, and, of course, to accomplish this radical agenda, Democrats could need to seize control of the U.S. Supreme Court. And during the Democratic primary, even Kamala Harris said that the Democrats should be willing to pack the courts. That would be the biggest power grab in 150 years in this country. Multiple high-profile Democrats are all threatening to do that. It's on the table, including Rahm Deadfish Emanuel. Take a look.
Minority Leader Schumer is saying Republicans will regret her confirmation. Do you think they will?
Yes. Well, first, let me say, yes, I do think the Republicans will regret not only what they did here, but what they did to Merrick Garland at the end of 2016. They've twice now bent the rules and cracked them and broken them to basically seize power in the Supreme Court and politicize the Supreme Court.
And he's lying as usual because 29 times in history during election years, well, 29 presidents all made a nomination to the Supreme Court. And by the way, it's not just Rahm alone. Following the confirmation of Justice Amy Coney Barrett, by the way, you'd be hard-pressed to find any Democrat who isn't threatening to pack the courts. Take a look.
And the next time the American people give Democrats a majority in this chamber, you will have forfeited the right to tell us how to run that majority. My colleagues may regret this for a lot longer than they think.
How do we rebalance our courts? Yes, the 2 Supreme Court cases that have been stolen, where these processes that are just wildly hypocritical have been used to jam through partisan nominees. But we got to look at our federal courts as a whole, Rachel.
Should we expand the court? Well, let's take a look and see.
Right.
But not, and that relates to the 9 district courts. Maybe we need more district courts as well.
This election matters. Believe them, Democrats will pack the courts so their radical agenda will be left totally and completely unchecked. There will be nothing to stop them from stripping away your rights and nationalizing major sectors of the economy, confiscating private property, eliminating the Second Amendment. And of course, Joe and Kamala, if they get their way, there will be immediate amnesty for millions, maybe up to 15 million illegal immigrants. And you, the American people, they're telling you this, will be forced to pay for the health insurance and other government benefits for anybody that crosses our borders illegally.